Hello and welcome back to Truth and Transparency, Idaho4. This is batch number 4. These videos were released January 20th, 2026 for a couple hours. Then these videos, or I'm sorry, these still images were taken off the internet after a couple hours. But this is the crime scene photos part 2. Here we go.
Listen, folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right, who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, I've been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay, drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking through the car. The other ones.
That's truly for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay. They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, if you have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yes, you're going to be in trouble. Welcome again, Truth and Transparency, Idaho4. Today is the 21st all day. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. And let's go. Here we go. Photo 407 here is where we left off. Okay, we're going to use the ability to use this screen and zoom in. I want to see if it does it the way that I want here. Okay, perfect. All right. Yes, and today we'll be receiving 2 new interviews, and we'll be going over those over the next couple days. So, again, thank you for being here. All right. Some of these photos we have seen in the past. Some of the photos we have not. So what I see that they did here is you could tell the different phases of the pictures. Remember, we talked about this yesterday on when these would have been taken. But it's almost like, I don't know if you guys have ever bought a new home or built a new home, and you go through and you're doing like your specs. And so somebody's going around and marking where they see, like, especially when you're building a new home and you see like stuff that needs to be touched up. So right here like that, what they're using the little, it's, I'm hoping that they use the tabs after they would have done all of their swabbing, because you'd want everything to be sterile and nothing to be, cross-contamination. So those little tabs there, you can just buy those wherever. But so I'm guessing at that point, praying and hoping that anything that if you're going to be swabbing anything, it had been before you're taking those tabs and putting them right there. And I'm not talking about the big one. I'm talking about the 2 little ones that you can just go and buy at like off of Amazon or at Staples or something. Okay. They added the H in there. Okay. Also, okay, yeah, right there. See, it looks like it dripped down right from the wall. You see that? I went ahead and reached out to Scott Roeder and told him that all of this had dropped. So I'm actually waiting to hear back. I know he's a busy man, but yes. 5. Okay. Go back over here. Again, good morning, everybody. Pile on in. Right. Over on this side now. Is it helping that I'm using the touch screen to like zoom in rather than the clicking? We'll just love your guys' opinion with that. Okay. Man, that foundation is bad. Look at that. Yes. Okay, sweet. I figured. Okay. I know people were talking about is something like, do you feel like the blood is diluted? Honestly, unless we knew the exact dates of when these were taken, I will tell you that if we look at the beer pong table, blood was definitely diluted on that table because, and if it whatever mixed with that, because whatever was on the table was like a spilled over a little bit beer or a seltzer. Again, I would have tested a little bit about that just to see what it was, because beer's really sticky when it spills. Same with seltzers, are really sticky. You guys have ever been to parties and like people are spilling stuff and it just your feet get all sticky then when you're walking. It's just like you can hear that little sappy crunch when you're walking then at a house. You guys remember those days back in college? God, that would be like the worst. Like that's when you just knew, like, you're like, okay, hey, we have to clean, you guys, on Sunday here. Like we cannot. Ugh, that was like always the worst. Okay, so something that I want to mention is the thing that it is without a doubt is if you were in Xana's room, right? I'm like, whether people think that there was more than one person in that room with Ethan and Xana, it doesn't matter. How are there no tracks out? How did this person have no tracks? No, whether it's bare feet, whether it's shoe prints, how are there no tracks out? Anywhere. There's like not a single footprint. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. It's always bothered me. And now with these pictures, it bothers me more. All right. So this is their infamous ways of how they take pictures. And remember how I told you that they're just not good about this? You see how you can't see the bottom and that you know for a fact that this starts with one touching the ground? That picture right there. This was infamous that they did in the Dan Moore case. And I'm just like, what are they doing? Okay. Oh, there we go. We got it. Can you believe in the Dan Moore case, we never got a picture like that? Not a single picture showed the entire tape, which mattered for the height of the stool. The stool height was never measured. Look at that. And let's just say if it was never turned over to the defense. Okay, remember how I told you guys stuff got moved over into the bathroom? Now you can tell that this has already been after they processed the bathroom. Okay, well, let's hope, right? But you're starting to unload stuff that, in my opinion, is coming from Xana's room. All right. We've talked about that hair. Interesting. Very interesting there. There you go. There it is. Look at that. Okay. That's where that's at. So that would be the right by Dylan. That's Dylan's door down there. And you have that little smudge, which is like so tiny. And so it's like if you would have brushed up with like your shoulder or like part of your like your elbow, you know, that's just like such a small, you'd expect more smear, like a bigger one. And then this is where people say, well, because there was a cleanup, you know, this was clean. Now take a look. You could tell here that this picture is obviously before they lay down the amino black, right? Let's take a look right there. Look at that. And it's like, did you test that? Is that even blood? Could that be dirty fingers from something that they ate back in the day? So there, you can see they have their containers up there on the top of the steps. Very interesting. Curious if they tested that. Look at these letters, man. That would bother the shit out of me. K. That letter K. Like, wouldn't that just bother you? It bothers me. Letter K. There it is. K. Okay. Oh, right there. See this? That's the type of big swipe that I'd be. Like, see how big that is? Yeah, these pictures don't even do it justice, but that's what I'm talking about right there. That's a way bigger transfer. Like brushing up fabric that's has blood on it. And now the question is, can you tell if it's coming, that the person is coming down the stairs or up the stairs? Okay, that would be like the next big question. Is this from somebody? Can you tell the pat? Like, did it start up to down or down to up? Right? Because that would be significant, right? Why would it be significant? Because it's going to talk about, well, where the person, when they were walking up, if they're already covered in blood, then that means that they've already killed 2 people on the second floor. So I'm just curious. I already have this marked down to ask Scott Roeder about in terms of picture 447. Is there any way that you could tell if this is somebody going up or somebody coming down? So and what would somebody need. So it's marker L. This is E. But marker L is really I'm interested in. Okay. Okay, here. This is going to be your biggest sign of, in my opinion, when someone's going to talk about a cleanup, okay, is where did these start? See that? And then over here, like, where's the tail? Where's the starting point? And I think that this is where people are talking about it the most as far as like diluted, right? Would you guys feel the same? It would be on the walls here. And Taylor's arguing about a cleanup. You know, is this what, see? And the question is did they use the amino black right above it? Did they put it there? Right? That's what you'd want to do. Right above E and V on that part of the wall. You'd want to see if anything originated before these, what people are calling diluted tails. Thoughts on that? And that would be inside wall. Again, picture 454 and V. I believe that's a V. And E. Is that a W? Fuck, who knows? Maybe that's a W. Jeez. Okay, W and V. Only reason I double checked that is because a V and a W are way closer together in the alphabet. Yeah, they need to get new little lettering. See that? That's interesting. That's interesting. So this should have everybody situated where V and E are. I mean, V and W are. Yeah, that's what I want to see. It's interesting. It's a very interesting how the toy changes course of direction there. Very interesting. Like that's more of a natural flow there. This middle part here. But at the top here where it goes over, it's coming from like right where kind of like the V is to the right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good picture of it there. Do you see how it V's off to the right there? It's a very interesting pattern that it would make a almost right degree angle. See that? It's almost like with the wall, you'd want to do a sample to play Plinko and just put a dabber up top and just to see how it would flow down the wall. For me anyway. Bumps in the wall can direct drip patterns. Absolutely. That's why I would do. They can test stuff. Oopsies. How did I go back to that? 5 or 457. Okay. All right, we're gonna get away from V here. Even though they were really interested in this. Very interested in this. It's almost, if you were walking, if your feet were covered with blood on top, like on the top of your shoe, when you're walking, you'd be kicking, blood would be kicking out, okay, when you're walking. It'd be coming off of your shoe. And so I just don't see that. I don't see, there are zero like barefoot prints. There are 0 boots, shoes. Nothing is on this floor that has any prints of blood. And if you think there are, please point them out when we go, because I don't see it. Very interested in that spot right there. And this would be them coming back in after the fact. Okay. This isn't like day 1 or anything like that. You're looking at these markings on like probably potentially on the 19th, potentially on, let's see, 13. They went back in there to do Dylan's room on the 19th. So all the pictures where they go and get that search warrant for Dylan's room, just so everybody knows this, it was the 19th. So when you go, let's see, because I'm trying to mark some of these as I do this. 11/19 is when they got the search warrant and went into Dylan's room. They did 11, obviously the 13th, 11/14, and then they don't want to talk about. They go on the 16th. But we're gonna hold off and take a look. Okay. Sorry, I'm placing some notes as we go along. Okay. I'll tell you what, this new tape that they're laying down for the measurements, I'm like really digging it. And but I want to know how hard it is to keep that straight line. That's my because it has to be completely up and down. Otherwise, it's not going to be. It's not going to be that bad though. So we're looking at, that would be 12 a foot. Okay. 2 feet down. See, look at that. Look at when they have the white next to it. It's like a good 2 inches less, if not more. Yeah, 2 inches, 3 inches off. Huh. Now that would make a huge, big difference in the Dr. Moore case. So, isn't that wild? Look at that. I'll tell you why it's off that. Because these dipshits, what did they really not? Oh my God, they just went down to the wood part. They didn't even go down to the floor. Oh my gosh, what are they doing? Who did this? Do you see what they did? They started at the trim. Oh my goodness. Well, what are they doing? Dude. Oh my God. Somebody corrected them. Someone said, you're missing like a couple inches because you started at the trim. Oh my God. What? Look at that. Oh my goodness. Somebody came around and said, we have to take pictures of all this again because you didn't go down. Oh my God. Oh, this, remember I told you guys in the Brian Drake case, I was like, it's the same people. So watch when they come in here. Okay. This is wow. Okay. This is wow. So somebody went and marked all this, and then somebody had to come around with the actual white tape. Oh my God. How bad. Look at that. Look at that. But do you see how they take these pictures? Like, what does this picture do for us? We have no idea. Like, you're not on the, like, you're all the way down here, you know, it's bad. Like, they need to go back. This is bad. This is bad work here. Okay, so good. So this would be, or it's almost at 3 feet here. And is it three? It's 3 feet on that stair. Okay, so you have to stand there and see where you would be. What do they see here? Hmm. 120, so 10 feet. 9. So 2 feet, 9 inches to the top of the railing. Yeah. See these right here? Remember how I was telling you when somebody would be like walking? See that little trail up over here to the left like that? That's interesting. How are they not testing? Yeah, see right there? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't wait till Scott Ritter gets back to me. Because there's experts that Ann Taylor was able to get that basically I wanted to hear from to say, how could you see this the way that their reports are going to show? You know, to say that there was multiple people, to saying that 2 people are attacked in one room at the same time, meaning that there was 2 assailants, you know? This type of stuff right here. And that how did the police within a week decide, hey, we need to do a trial run and we're going to mimic all of the, dude, do you see all these? Who is Darren Gilbertson lost his mind? Okay. You would have to take all of this into account if you're going to do a trial run through. Literally within a week, on the 21st, they did this trial run through to count how many seconds it would take to, what's the, you know, quickest it can be done, and then more methodical. And they said 1 minute and 30 seconds to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then they added on 6 seconds to get back to the car, and then all the way up to 30 seconds back to get in the car. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, you need to pay attention to the path of travel with everything that's around you on these walls to see where this person was going. And the person to do that would never be a Darren Gilbertson. It's a crime scene reenactment specialist, because you're considering everything. And the only thing that Darren Gilbertson considered is the wounds on the victims. I don't know. I think that would be, I don't even know how somebody could testify to that in court. And for Hitler to ever let that kind of testimony come in, I think would be reckless. Because Now we have to go, like, what was the methodology in that? Okay. But you didn't record it. And then so I have to take time and cross-examination or to bring in my own witness after you get to go ahead and taint this jury. And now I have to untaint them within my, give somebody Detective Gilbertson's work product here. This is what he did. This is just what we have a report of. And now I'm going to put you on the stand to talk about how reckless this was. You get it? Wow. Just absolutely crazy. I cannot believe that they tore down this house. You guys know that they have video of all this, right? That's the other thing I wanted to tell you guys about. That that they have a video when they do the walkthroughs each day that they had to reopen the crime scene. The first time they would ever go in, they video everything. You guys know that? And then when they leave for the day, they video everything. And then the next time that they come back to break the seal, the first thing that they do is they go in with a video where you're supposed to go and you video camcorder it again, when you arrive. And then when you're done, same thing, you video. And so there is tons of video out there that could be subject to, the FOIA, and it would be redactions and blurs and stuff like that. There's no footprints, no boots, no anything, except we're going to get right in front of Dylan's room. And it's wow, is all I have to say. Okay, let's get back over here. That's interesting. Look at that. Oh, that's just a swipe. It's brushing up against fabric to wall there. That's what that looks like to me. And again, interesting in where it originated to where then it ended up. Hmm. 4 feet from the ground. Hmm. Ooh, okay. Interesting right there. .501. Look at that. That's like a double smudge, almost like it's going horizontal, and then something is then coming through it vertical. It's like a double transfer. You guys see that? And then you have to look though at the, God, these walls and how they were. This is not a flat surface at all. And I wonder if that's messing with .503. Very interesting. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. There's another angle. Where are we at here? Look at how much darker that is. Is that P? Hmm. Okay, that's going to be down by the trim, and that's a sideways picture. What the heck? Oh wait, did these get flipped around somehow? Hold on. Hold on, they did. There we go. Sorry about that. I was like, wait, what? All right, now we're better. Okay. There we go. It's going to be above the bathroom. Wait, whoa. What bathroom is that? Is that the one that's upstairs? Holy shit, hold on 1 second. Hell yeah, it is. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's upstairs. That's the upstairs bathroom. I wonder if they tested that. 512, 520, number 49. Okay, let's go back down here now to where. Okay. Beer pong table. Now, everybody has been in the comment sections talking about this pee pad, Murphy's pee pad. How did it end up over here in the kit or on the couch? Okay. First of all, we don't know what that is in terms of if that's a pee pad, number one. Could it be? Sure. Could it have something to do with what they brought in to work the scene? Yes, because look at, see how the table is already marked and moved? See that right there? Okay, where your little pee pad that you guys are talking about? Okay. That this would have been days later that was brought in because these markings are days later because they processed the scene more than once. Okay. So anybody that's saying that this is Murphy's pee pad, I'm going to tell you to pee pad yourself. Okay. Much love to you though, but pee pad away somewhere else. It's a pee pad, my dad. Yeah, but they also have stuff for it's not just for that. Okay. They could have, when you say they moved it, where did it come from? We don't know, guys. You're guessing. This is an absolute guess what you would think that is, where it came from, all of those things, okay? Because we don't have all of the pictures. So it's just reckless to do that. Okay. What you would want to say is that, wow, this is something new that we have no idea where it came from. Okay. Because there's not a picture before it like they're supposed to be. So these are not in order of how these pictures were taken. And so you would be totally speculating on if this was already in the house, if this was brought in by the crime scene people. And this is the disadvantage of when you're handed, when Ann Taylor would have been handed her photos, she gets her photos in order from 1 into the last number that you took for anything, okay? And so they would be in order for her when she received them. And if there's one that's missing, because they're all metadata, they're all timestamped, everything like that. If there's something missing, she's going to know about it. Just like how she knew There was a couple photos that were deleted. You're never supposed to delete photos. Okay, if it comes out shitty or it's blurry, guess what? You retake the photo. Okay. And that's just like 101. You learn that 101. So like you can't even possibly get into the habit of deleting photos if you're being trained the right way, because that's just so fundamental. Like you do not delete photos. Here, they delete photos. I appreciate that. You're so fucking funny, let alone genius. Deleted photos, huge problem. Yeah. And then the best part about it now, though, is that it's all this amazing digital world that we live in. When you're going through and you realize, oh my God, photo 501, the next one that we see is photo, 530. So you know what numbers are missing and where they would have been at during the processing of the scene. Okay. And it doesn't, I don't know. I think that all of it's common sense. So I have to maybe explain that better, but you're going to know where they were at based on what are the photos from 500 to 510. Okay. Then you're missing 511 to 520, let's say. Well, oh my gosh, it was when they were in, so-and-so's room. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and what were they looking at? Stuff like that. And then you can ask questions about it on the stand. And that's why you need to know your case inside and out. Okay. So here we are, back over here to the living room, beer pong table. Okay. That Bud Light bottle was knocked over. This seltzer, that is what you call a shotgun. Somebody shotgun that. Now, let me tell you how messy shotguns are. All right, especially when males do it, and then especially when males do it because they try to go so fast that then stuff's going everywhere. But even more so when females shotgun, because either you shotgun to the point that you're going so slow that nothing's spilling out, or you don't know what you're doing, and then stuff's spilling all out when you first attempt to do it. But then when you flick back your shotgun, because you're like, okay, I'm done shotgunning, like I think that everything's out of it. When you flip it back up, that's where everything sprays back out that's in the bottom of it. To be a professional shotgunner and not spill, you have to do it a lot. Okay? It's kind of like sex. To be a professional sexter, you got to do it a lot. Otherwise, when you sex people, it's really corny and weird. So here you have waters in these cups. They're getting knocked over. You have blood that would have gotten on this table. So obviously it's being totally diluted and mixed with potentially Bud Light Lime, that's a White Claw, and water if water is in those cups. Okay, now look at all. See, perfect example. You got the blood mixing with all of those liquids. But what should be interesting here is what are we dealing with as far as where the blood originated and how did it get on the table to then move to the dilution part of it? And can you tell that? That would be my questions for like a Scott Roeder. Is that where can we tell that the blood originated from on the table, and what type of, like, is this transfer? Is this, what are we dealing with here? So those are the questions that would be asked, in my opinion. And how are stuff like the beer pong table, how tall is it off the ground? Do we see anywhere where they measure that? Okay, you'd want to measure your beer pong table to see how far it was off the ground, in my opinion. Okay, see that right there? See those? It's like, my question is could somebody have been coughing and that come out of somebody's mouth coughing blood? I don't see any. I don't think they measured it. Okay. All right, here's the view. Very good view here from coming down the steps. Okay. Oh, here we go. Hugh Powell. Hugh. I call him Hugh, like stool. All right, so this is the outside of the house. He marks the 3 cars that are right out in front. Then he has the Washington cars off to the left. Then we go right here. First floor. Walking in over here, there's the door, there's the stairs. He has the bathroom. And then to the right, you see that bed. We're going to talk about that. And then you walk to the left and you see that's Bethany's bedroom over there. So that's his first floor diagram. Now we get to baseline, top of stairwell to south wall. He's doing all of the measurements here. We're going to come back to this, the measurements in a second. But let's go over here to the second floor diagram. And this is where I have totally so many issues. Okay. Now, first thing I want to note is that this is the second floor. So there's your couch. See how the beer pong table is straight in this diagram? Not tilted. Okay. Then, but look over here now, go to Xana's room. And this diagram is how Xana is being placed is important. Okay. Because where her head is closest to versus where her feet. Okay. And then let's go to the kitchen. Also with Ethan, it's important to see then why there was the dripping on the outside of the house. Okay. But here, if you look at, I want to talk about the stools. Well, do you guys see that stool? It's not there. There's no stool in the middle. But do you see like he was about to put something right here? You kind of see that? He was about to like make something right there in the middle, right by where that stool would have been. That. Interesting, huh? Why wouldn't you put the stool where the stool truly is, right? I mean, I would, right? It's right in front of you. Why didn't he do that? Crazy, huh? Crazy that he does not put the stool there. I would just love to know why. If you're truly making a sketch, you're looking at the room that you're in, and you would have known that the stool is not the way that table. Like, what are you doing? You see that? The beer pong table's there. It's right here. Where the one is. Beer pong table. Okay. No stool right here should be. See? And also, I agree with Murky. You're going to try to make the wall longer. And then decided potentially not to. But I just want to know why your stool isn't there. Because it was, when you walked in that place, it was right there. And how you could possibly be in that room and not be marking that stool is absolutely amazing to me. Like, so can I rotate the photo? No. Why do we need to rotate that photo? There. You want it like that? How do you miss that? How do you miss the stool where it needs to be? You know? Anyways. Okay. Next. And then there's a diagram for and they couldn't talk about the fact that there was the like no kennel back behind there. They never got to see Murphy, so they don't put Murphy in the photo, obviously. All right. Now, this photo is after they would have went through on the 19th and went through things. So this is not the photo that I'm talking about to look at where Dylan's room and be like, how could somebody possibly sleep in that bed? That's not the photo. Okay. My first question was Dylan's bedroom light on? And I was able to answer my own question based off of the body worn camera of one of the officers. Okay. Now, this is another photo where they've already kind of gone through things because this is not how Dylan's drawer was. Okay. Now, I got into it with somebody in the comment section of my video because I wanted to show a couple things, which is about if Dylan's phone's about to die, okay, you need your charger. And this person was like, Dylan's charger is in her room. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Exactly. Dylan's charger is in her room. But Dylan went down to Bethany's room. And everybody knows that you take your chargers with you. Okay. Everybody knows that that's what kids do. All right. And if you want your phone to work, you need your charger in Bethany's room. Okay. You know, shit, fuck, my phone's about to die. Okay. I'm going to be grabbing my charger. Well, my comment in my community page is Dylan's phone charger was in her room. Dylan needed that to be able to maintain, to be on her phone throughout the night and into the morning, all the way up until noon. You're not going to do all of that stuff on no battery. Okay? No battery. You need a battery. Okay? And so this stuff right here, when you're looking at it, this is after the police went through the room and just started piling stuff on and going through stuff. So this isn't where that begins. Okay? So this is on the 19th when they get the search warrant to go through Dylan's room. That's when this starts happening. This. Okay. Melatonin. You guys ever take melatonin? Remember I said that in the interview, or when we were talking about Dylan, I was like, this is like way early on in the case. And I was like, did she take, Tylenol PMs? Did she take melatonin? Well, boom, 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 ding, ding, ding. Rapid release melatonin. All right, that'll put your ass to bed. This is her wallet, and she has a fake ID. She got a fake ID though. There's an Idaho driver's license, which is vertical. Okay, she's not 21. Now, Washington, horizontal, 21. So she has somebody else's ID that's 21. And that's what you would call a fake ID though. Okay? Okay. So remember the whole thing like, oh, so-and-so aren't 21 yet, so they don't go to the club. Remember that? Well, Dylan has an ID in her possession. It's not hers, okay? And if it's vertical, okay, those are under 21 IDs, and that's what the Idaho one is. And the Washington one is the fake ID, in my opinion. Okay, she does not live in Washington. She's never lived in Washington that I know of. And whatever. Now, take a look. This is how I believe her room was. Okay. Take a look. See a drawer intact? Okay. Do you see a charger? Nope. Do you see a charger? Nope. So somebody came in flying in saying, her charger is in her room. And I'm saying, yeah. Where? Where that charger at? Where'd that charger be? Now, this is how I believe her room was when, see that pink and red heart blanket? This is how I believe her room was when the police arrived. This is my opinion. This is my beautiful, beautiful opinion. Okay, do you see the difference? The drawers are intact. Okay. Nothing is piled up on her bed except for the fact that she has a book bag there and the purple or the pink and red heart blanket. And Ann Taylor was adamant about that pink and white blanket. Why? I think Ann Taylor had photos. There's tons of photos that people turned in as tips. Okay? People turned in tons of tips. Yes, Scott Rowe just got back to me. Hell yes. Yes, done. Woohoo. Thank you, Scotty Too Hottie. You guys, these are really busy people, right? Okay. So he's going to, I'm just going to send him the batch on over and yes. He said, I will break it all the way the fuck down. No holding back. Okay. That's all I want. You know, we have questions, we get the answers, right? If you don't like the answers you get, you know what they say, go get a second opinion. And I'm all for that. Okay, let's go back over here. So we are going to have Scotty Too Hottie. All right. So these are the two things that I noticed immediately is who could have ever been laying or sleeping on that bed that they popped up out of the bed and was like, oh my God, what's that sound? Okay. Because the biggest thing for me is this book bag. The rest of it would have been fine but this would have had to be somebody that completely just passed out, that they've passed out on their bed on top of a Jan Sport book bag or North Face, whatever the brand is, who gives a shit. But to me, I was like, if this is how the cops saw this room, I would never think that anybody was sleeping in any fashion in this room ever. That's just my opinion. But we don't have all the pictures. So I'm saying if this is the first one though, okay, that's what you're dealing with. Like, that's the reality of it. Now, look at this. Why I think that the picture is this first and then this is to show like a before and after of when they started using, voila, L4, there's your print. We're going to get into that. Okay. Actually, since I have him right here, I'm going to see if I can get him to answer me just one question about something on this photo. Okay, you guys know whenever you play pool in a house, and you put your pool table in a room that is not level and not flat, and so all your balls start rolling one way. So you have to like either get rid of your pool table and say, fuck, we can't play pool in this room, or you have to do some tweaking with your table. My question is did they ever consider that these rooms and the levelness of them when they threw down this chemical? Okay. Because this house was, it just kept being like, for lack of better words, it just wasn't done professionally. It just kept being added to. You know what I mean? Like, look at all this shit. You know, so that's my first question. Second question is how much did you throw down that, look at this, to the point, let's zoom in. We're talking about, okay, you see the light coloring here? That's what it should look like, is this light blue, right? Totally fine. Okay, when we're talking about, like, see this over here, right here off at the tail end, that's where I have a question, right at the end there. Right in the shadow almost of the van. But for the most part, right there. So I think I have a question about. Okay. We're going to come to the L4. Here we go. L4. Now we're going to talk about this print. Okay, right there. See that? And basically what they're saying is to the naked eye, before we put that down, we couldn't really see that print. This is how I interpreted their report. Okay. See that? So what I don't understand is well, maybe this would be, no. Why isn't there a spot? Why isn't there a picture taken right before you have this of that area zoomed in without any of that? That's what should come right before this, and it doesn't. Okay, you have this chopped off at the bottom of the floor, nothing. Okay. And then I want everybody to see, do you see where the door is? It's over here, the hinges, right? So if you were trying to open up your door to peek out, the only way that you could peek out would be over all the way over on this side to peek out. Okay. Unless you wanted to, I don't know, open your door completely, hide behind this little door, and then you would have to say, oh, wait, but how do I make that print? Oh, wait, I couldn't, you know? So this whole peeking out over here on this side to like look out is absolute trash. It's impossible. You would have your print over here. Okay. So that's number one. Numero uno. It's over here. Then I said, can you tell which way it's walking? Is it walking towards or out or what? is this like, oh, the heel, or is it more towards the toe? And can you believe in the reports that we now have, they said, ready? In the reports that we have, they said that we're going to chalk this up as a police officer's print. What? Like, wait, what? Yeah. That's what they wrote in the reports. Okay. But then Payne put it in the probable cause as it was the path of travel for the killer. How could this be the path of travel for the killer? That means the door was wide open. Okay. Number one. Nope, it was closed. I mean, it was closed. Yep, it's closed. See, they just got to that. Oh, so they got to that room and couldn't get in? Trying to beat it on down, trying to get in, didn't get in, and say, to hell with this, I'm out. Well, that's not what Dylan said. Reading these reports and then going and looking at these videos is just something wild to me. Ooh. But Dylan said that her door was open and that the killer was walking towards her, according to the PCA. Oh, so Dylan and the killer kissed? Dylan's standing right there. Dylan's dead. Fight me on it all day long. I don't care. The proof is in the pudding. Okay. If that's your killer's footprint, who's ever in that bedroom would be no longer living. Sorry. And where's the rest of the print? Does this person just walk on their toes? Are they a toe walker? You know what I'm talking about? They don't, you know what I'm talking about? People that walk on their toes and they don't walk on their heels at all. Toe walkers. This looks like a toe walker to me. Whoever, and that they're walking into that bedroom. You never come down on your heels when you walk on your toes. Could somebody be tiptoeing around, going up and around and looking? Well, I don't know why you'd be tiptoeing around this bedroom. I could see you tiptoeing around the other rooms, like trying to, you know, after, if you're scared, you know. It's really bizarre. Okay, wait, what do we got here? Let me see what we got here. Jeez. This house is dirty. Hmm. Now look how many, like one, look at this. Look at this photo. See how the vans are, like, I mean, you see a van shoe like right there. Remember how Dylan didn't have any shoes on? Like, wow. Look at that. Wait, what the fuck? The order of these pictures are so crucial. Damn. Can you believe that you're making the statement that you are the probable cause with that van shoe that's literally right up next to that? Like, just total disregard for the truth. Totally disregarding. Like, that's what this looks like to me. It's just a total disregard for the truth. I mean, how anybody can literally write up a piece of paper and have the audacity to not mention the fact that there was a van shoe that's right next to where that Leighton is, right? Like, that makes you want to throw up. It's unbelievable. Look at it's just sopping in your so this is before anything's down. Okay, here we go. Before anything's down. See the jeans? Is that jeans? Is that pants? What's rolled up like on the we'll find out what that is in a second. And I told you she had blackout blinds, and she does. Here we go. Before anything is down. Look at that. See, this photo should have come before the other ones. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's just so not in... Oopsies. See these? Now, what the hell did they do here? What's this? How much did they put? God, just so much. Let me get to this area back here again. Okay. Here we go. Nothing's down yet. Boom. Can't you get up closer? Like, why aren't you getting all up in that down there? That tells me that they didn't take a closer, like, what made them think? Okay, so basically, here it is. They interview Dylan again. Okay, you interview Dylan again. And Dylan tells you on the 17th. That's why they go back in on the 18th. On the 19th, they go back in there. And let's throw down and let's look around and let's see what's up. And that would have been after the 17th, in my opinion, of when they interview Bethany. They interview Dylan on the 16th and 17th back to back. Blaker does. And then they get a search warrant to go into Dylan's room on the 19th, and they go in there. And this would tell me that this is Ann Taylor's strongest evidence of a cleanup. Because the only reason that they threw anything down in this area was to listen to what Dylan was saying, right? And they were thinking about what I'm thinking about, which is, you guys, look around this house. Where is anybody walking that would have just left the room of Xana's, right? How do you not have any blood on your shoes? How do you not have any blood on your shoes? Well, what? They took off their shoes and they're carrying their shoes out? What about there's no blood on the stairs when they would have come from upstairs, right? Well, that's a little bit more, in my opinion, able to be explained. And Scott, I think, is going to do a really good job about that when he's going to be showing where the blood would have been, where the blood's at. And like you have a bed that's soaked, there's no blood that's all around where the feet of the perpetrator were. Okay. But in Xana's room, that's not the same. That's not it at all, as everybody can see. So leaving from Xana's room, yes, they got a search warrant to search her room. Facts. I found that in the discovery. How do you exit Xana's room and not leave one drop of blood on the floor? That tells me that the person took off their shoes when they left Xana's room. Before they left Xana's room, they took off their shoes. And that they put them in like a bag, like a Walmart bag. I don't think they had booties on. You would have been smearing things. I think they took off their shoes and they put them in like a Walmart bag, like a Target, like any type of a plastic bag where you go to the store and they put your stuff in. Like that's what I think in my head. Why would they take off their shoes? Hmm? Let's go back down over here. So then they come in on the 19th and they're like, we need to throw this down. We need to look all around here because this person, because at first they're like, the killer left out the front door. But now with what Dylan is telling us, the killer is going out the back door. Because if they're processing the scene and they're like, okay, look at, we have stuff over here on the smudge marks from bottom floor to second floor. The door was wide open. That Jeremy kid that came, not Jeremy kid, but the Justin kid that we talked to, he said the front door was wide open. What's her name was saying? Bethany, talking about she heard like a firework or a firecracker, saw a flash, like something's going on downstairs. So they're trying to figure that out. Now, this is obviously, as you can see, before this would be right when they're walking into her room for the first time. And this is how the floor was. And so you have, this is indicative of somebody taking off their clothes and just like taking them right off and leaving them right there. Exactly. Boom. Now, please come back over here and take a look. Again, this is the picture of what it looked like. You are not sleeping on top of a book bag. Okay, you're just not. Sorry, but you're just not. And then, I don't know what that is. Okay. Those are blackout blinds. Whoopsies. Okay. Every single room they ended these, by the way. Xana's room's the same way. Look at, they peeled, in my opinion, they peeled back a little bit of that carpet to take that picture too. Let's see. Blackout blinds. And then remember when Joe Lake says, I thought you put up your plants right there to see if anybody would come in and knock that over if they were to come in there. I thought that was genius. Remember him saying that? So this is how, look at the bed. That's a purse. There's all her pictures of her eyebrows, but right there. That's how the room, this is how the room was when they arrived. This bed right here like this. And I said, I can get down with all of this, except for the book bag. You're going to just plop down on top of that book bag. I said, nobody slept, nobody even started in this room. Okay, nobody started in this room. It looks like somebody took off their, you know what okay, have you ever done the college walk of shame? Okay. Somebody slept in their clothes, in their jeans. Okay, so they get home and they taking off my jeans. What, am I going to go take a shower? Okay. Then when I got into my room, though, I also had a jacket on. And so I took my jacket off. I also came back with the book bag that I had when I was coming back from wherever I was. But I take my jacket off. I take my jeans off. I threw my book bag there. This is that little nook where the desk was. Somebody wallpapered that. That was not how that was. This is just from the other angle. And now I just believe that rug is just fucked like that. You have that picture though. Interesting. Okay. Why do you think they took this picture? Right? This is your view. So right here, they know page 606, right? 606. Standing from anywhere over here. Oh, wait. Do you see what there is as well right there? Oh, wait. That's the stool. Okay. And look, you can already tell that this is interesting. Very interesting. Look at that. Interesting. They did not go into her room. Like I said, they didn't touch anything in this room until the 19th. First time in on 11/13, 11/14. See those different tapes? This picture right here was taken on at least the third time into the home. Because you have to put a new seal over anytime you were to crack it. So this picture is not like on 11/13. This picture, but I know they had to get a search warrant. They went to her room. And look at what they were interested in. Let me take a picture of when you're standing over here where Dylan would have been in her room to open the door. Again. It's not a charger, guys. That's an aux cord. I have yet to see a taser in here. Mm. Look at these angles. They knew that you could not see. They knew that. So clearly they moved the melatonin around, touching around, taking pictures in the drawers. This is over by the desk. Where is her laptop? Where is her laptop? Were they able to get... Okay, look at this. She keeps her popcorn in her room. I know that they were allowed to get the electronics. What was Dylan wearing in that roommate photo? Did she have on just a regular, like it wasn't a hoodie, right? It was just a regular like crew sweatshirt. See, this is a hoodie, right? But if you go look at... Hold on. We'll go back over here. Right there. See that gear? What color was Dylan's hoodie that day? Was it a light? Wasn't it a lighter gray though? So I gotta look. Hold on, let me look at this. Is that the gray hoodie? Because then ready for this, which is um okay, perfect. All right, that's the hoodie that she has on. This hoodie that's on, that's wrinkled up into the right there. That hoodie right there, that's the sweatshirt that she was wearing in the iconic photograph, okay? And she was then also wearing jeans. So I want to go back and show you then these. Did I catch the jeans again? Okay, see these jeans right here? Right there. Okay. All right, yes. Okay, that's the hoodie. And then the jeans are over there. And if I then get into the clothes that I'm going to wear when I go to bed, that those should be the same clothes that are on me in the morning when I'm outside talking to the police. Because I would have never come back upstairs for any reason, because that's what I said. I never came upstairs. So then therefore, the clothes that I would have taken off or put on right after I take off my hoodie and my jeans should be the same clothes that, what's her name? Lalakin took pictures of her. They had pictures out on the back patch portia, like when Kaylee and Maddie came home. We need to see the photos that Lakeland took. Those are very important. Didn't Dylan wear white jeans? Well, they're just really like not white jeans per se. They're very washed out, but I would not say it go as far as to say that they were white. So, but that's the hoodie that she wore. And okay, you guys know when you go to sleep and you're sleeping with like the clothes that you had out, like you had like why that's when change ends up in your bed. Okay. And when I saw that there was change in her bed. Let's get to that photo. These were called blackout blinds. Like ain't no light getting through this mobo. I said, who puts a dustpan there? Like bizarre, right? Like you guys saw that, right? The dustpan. We get a better close up there, but hold on one second. And that's a total guy thing to put cinder blocks down for your bench, but whatever. See, that's a Mead notebook. Where is her laptop? Okay, here we go. Right there. That is so notorious for sleeping in your bed with change in your hoodie pocket, your pants pocket. That's what that's notorious for. So when I saw that, I was interested in that. That's like a small little purse. And here. So either Dylan likes to go commando a lot because there's no underwear that we're taking off. Or she just kept on the same underwear. Looking for that laptop still. Okay. Sock. Boom. Damn. 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 Wow. Let's go back here really quick. How does that book bag get on that? So hear me out. I get woke from Kaylee saying there's someone here, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? How does that book bag get there? I get up, I go to the door. I don't hear whatever. Go back to my bed. What, lights on, lights off, what? Even at that point, at no point in time does that book bag fall off the bed. Then the second time, get up, go back. Book bag still just laying like that. Then get up. Also the jacket, the North Face jacket that's on the bed. Get up, go back over a third time. Fourth, then the fourth time is when shut the door, lock it, go back on my bed, and then I decide I'm going to be texting to say, oh, fuck, my phone's about to die. Yeah, no, sorry. Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. No way. It doesn't look like anybody ever originally slept there. Even if I was to pass out, it would be like when I woke up at almost 4:00 in the morning, and then the comings and goings from my bed, like that book bag would never be seen like that. Sorry. Interesting. Let me think what else. This is a dog walking on the bed right here. You can see like the dog walking. I don't know about you guys, but I have a certain side that I always sleep in on my bed. So you guys right side sleepers or left side sleepers? Who has a big bed they sleep in by themselves and that they rotate? I'm gonna sleep on this side this tonight, and then okay, I'm gonna sleep over there. Or how do you pick what side you sleep on? Pick with your bed. I'm trying to think. I think I've always been oh my gosh, yeah. I think I'm always on the left side. I never thought about that with all the different. Think about all like the past places that you like your different houses and where your bed was set up. Does it end up being when looking at the bed from like the bottom? If you do it that way, I've always been on the right. But like if I'm like in the bed, I'd be on like the left. Interesting. Yeah. Are we all right-handed who sleep on the left? Interesting, right? Even in hotels. Let me think. Actually, in hotels, it's like whatever's the closest to me when I get to the bed. I just plop because I'm like exhausted. That's what I know about these hotels. I'm just like, right? I'm just like, oh my God, like get me, like I'm just like crashing. So, again, we don't know when these photos originated, but it's just like night and day when you then come upstairs and to see how, the maturity. I get it, they were seniors. It's just it's night and day how the rooms were. See that's the new thing that everybody has by their beds are all these extension cords for the purposes they have all their stuff plugged in. And so you can tell this picture right here. Look at it's just night and day. So when you go back to ISP when they're making their little chart, I think it's interesting that they don't put the dog crate there. And I also think it's interesting that as soon as you would have come in this room and saw the two different dog bowls, one in and one out okay, with the ball, that none of these, like, where's anybody asking about the, hey, so where's the dog? You know what I mean? Where's the dog? And he doesn't put it in his, sketch. I just bizarre. One should be for water. One should be for food. And then I think that that's no the zip up. Like in the picture, she had this zip up on. I know that. But do you remember in the interviews when it's like, ready for this? Dylan's over here saying how Kaylee was getting ready for bed, and that, and I think even Bethany was saying it because it was Maddie and her that took Murphy out, right? And that Kaylee was getting, ready for bed. And it's like, yeah, look at Kaylee got ready for bed and none of her clothes are anywhere, on the floor. Like they got ready for bed and were like going to sleep. Okay. What it looks like on the lower level here, both lower levels, is that nobody was like getting ready to go to bed and was like going to sleep. Does that make sense? Like, we've always heard this reoccurring theme of nobody wanting to talk about anything between 2 and 4, and that everybody was home by 2, in the rooms by 4, that type of thing. And that it was Bethany and Dylan that are just like, we were the ones that we went to bed. We went to bed. Yet the only rooms that look like anybody was in bed, going to bed, are the other people. To the point that you took off your clothes that you went on and like, where's Kaylee's jeans? Kaylee's jeans aren't rolled up on the ground. Where's the hamper? Ah, sorry. Damn it. Okay, hold on. We gotta go back over where we were. Where is this hamper? Okay, so I have a question about that. Is see the pillow? I want to know if that pillow was like that. That's the matching set that goes on the bed. Okay, see how the pillow's where it's at. I'm really curious about that. Again, we don't know the order of the photos. Because the store couldn't open all the way, and I think that that's important. So remember this talk with like Bill Thompson's version is that they came into Kaylee's room first, Why do they think that? Unless you're trying to say that like you thought that Kaylee was the target. That they're looking for Kaylee or something like that. Now, here we go. This black jacket. So is this actually the first photo? Because the black jacket, that's Maddie's that she was wearing. There it is. So finally, I couldn't wait to show this to people because I've been saying for a long time, Maddie's black jacket was not on some fucking fire hydrant outside. Holy shit, people. Like, God. And I'm like, hell yeah, here you go. Choke on this, fucking idiots out there. Here's the black jacket. This is Maddie's black jacket. Here it is. Okay? Here it is. This tells me that they went to Kaylee's room first. Okay? Maddie taking off her black, but where was this black jacket? So, like, all I care about to see is that it was this black jacket laying, like, is this how the room was when they walked in? You know, where was the black jacket? Where was the, because now it just appears in a photo. Okay? And so I could already tell people are going to say, like, where did it come from? Where was it? You know, well, we need to know the order of the photos. And then I want to know what this orange, I want to know what that is. I'll tell you why. Okay, see, like now you can tell they move something, so they take a picture of it when they move it, and then they're going to go through that. Okay, here's your black jacket. Again, where was it though? Because it matters to know if anybody would have laid in this bed, because Kaylee's not going to sleep in laying in a bed with that black jacket like that. I promise you that. Look at this room. There's no way that this mature girl is going to go to sleep with a black jacket laying like that. Not happening. Now, was I there that night? Do I know? No, but it's not happening. Look at the room. Okay. Where's her, where are the clothes that she was wearing? We found the sweatshirt, I believe, is on the back of the chair that's in her room. Where's the rest of her clothes? Then, voila, right here. See this? Where'd this come from? Was it always there? Is this one of the first pictures? Because that desk had not that on it the first time if you scroll back. But what that is like it's a laptop sleeve. Okay, but it has a bunch of stuff stuffed in it. So again, I'm just looking for, those are debit cards, ID. Okay, right here. See this 52 right here? They're saying that this apple was inside that sleeve, like a laptop sleeve, okay? Well, where did this come from? When we walked into this room, there was nothing on this desk unless these are out of order. But even still, what are all these papers in there? That looks like a guy's like way of walking around with that, but that's a Apple computer, okay, in a laptop sleeve, but that is stuffed with papers. I'm very interested in that. Then somebody asked me, well, what is this a picture of? It's a picture of, here is the Extreme Network laptop that's underneath this box. Okay, this is something that you aren't using on the regular if this is where you're storing this laptop. So if this is your work laptop, why would it be underneath this box that it came in? It looks like it came in underneath this. I have let's see, 1, 2, 3. I have 3 laptops that are like, wait, 1, 2, I'm sorry, 4 that are literally piled on top of each other over here, underneath and on the side of my desk. This isn't something that I would think that you would be using anytime or on a regular basis. Also, she wasn't there and she just had gotten here on the Friday, and it's almost like this is an old laptop. Like, meaning the one that she could have used in June when she was, interning or whatever. I don't know. But this was interesting to me because it just doesn't seem like it's an important or used often laptop. And here it is, Extreme Networks, service tag, all of this stuff, right? Now then again, maybe Katie likes to have everything put away. So that's just where she stored that laptop that she used frequently. I don't believe that. But they needed to get into this laptop. Remember that big old ordeal, and they go get a search warrant. And they had to talk to Extreme Networks to get into it. It was like a big old. They couldn't get into it. It was all encrypted, and everybody was like, "What's going on with this laptop?" and who she was working for and what she was doing. Blah blah blah. So, I think it's in an interesting location. It looks like that she doesn't use it. That's what it looks like to me. Is that this is an old laptop that she didn't use anymore. See. So I was trying to figure out where these. Usually, like, you would show yourself opening up a drawer to get to that laptop sleeve that has this Apple laptop in it. Like, where did that come from? Like, you showed us where the laptop came from for the networks, like the Extreme Networks. You showed us that. Again, this black jacket just arrives, but again, was this one or more of like the more recent photos when you walked into the room? Where was the black jacket originally? That to me looks like the hamper, right? I'm trying to find the hamper. That to me looks like a wristband that you would be wearing if, like, you went out. And then I thought to myself, holy shit, when you go to like these fraternity parties, do they wrist you up? Do they put wristbands on you? Because it's like there's a list and you have to get in, and it was for that party at the Sigma Chi. Was this actually Maddie's because she went over there? Was this, I don't know, one of the other girls and they took it off in the room because they were all up there? But that looks to me like a wristband that you would wear and you would get for a party. Again, I don't know. So the people that would have went to that party would have been, Bethany, Dylan. They said that Maddie went over there for a little bit. Kaylee didn't go. So why the fuck is this in Kaylee's room? That means somebody that had the wristband that went to that party took it off in Kaylee's room. And okay. I'm just curious whose it is, and there'd be DNA on that. Just curious which person it is. If I was a betting person, I would say that it's Maddie's. But hey, don't know. Then I listened to what Dylan said in her interview about Kaylee's something was up with her blackout blinds, her curtains, and that they didn't look right. Okay. from, it was like a media picture that she was talking about though. And I thought that was interesting. And then boom, here. This is where the black sleeve just shows up. Like, where'd that come from? I'm just shocked that they did not provide where this just came from, unless these are so out of order that this photo, it just doesn't make sense. That had to come from somewhere. Or if it was originally on that desk, then it should have been, that would be one of the first ones. And I don't know. They said that they got into, they took Kaylee's laptop like day one on 11/13. That's the other thing that doesn't make sense to me. But so these photos are just all out of fucking order. And yeah. So then moving on. Oh, right there. See that little, is that what Dylan's talking about? Because if this is one of the first ones, how then Dylan actually saw that. Look at that. Is this one of the first ones? Because look at where the jacket is down there. And so I said to myself, well, holy shit. Dylan knows that Kaylee's curtains are messed up because of this photo. And that means she went into the bedroom. Or she's remembering that from when she went up there at 2:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. You see that right there? This to me looks like more, is this, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that Dylan mentioned it, and then she catches herself, and then she puts it on the media, that she saw a media photo. The other thing is looking where the, so that's your jacket down there. Oh, very interesting. Okay. See, very clean, neat, organized. It's amazing. Very clean, neat, organized. Sad. And now you could tell that these pictures, then whenever this was taken, this is stuff that's coming out to be like going through. And so this would be like way down the road of processing, packing people's stuff up. Again, I want to know where that sleeve came from. Oh, speaking of which, so here, see this? There's your property that you're taking. Okay, look at this. Lays the clipboard on top of the fork. I mean, you have no, I would be taking the fork for the purposes of like, you just don't know, right? Here, taking my clipboard and just placing it on top of this fork. You just don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know, right? That fork, who knows? DNA definitely are always on forks, right? You just never know. Well, here, we don't care about the fork. We don't even, it's just got to be one of the girls. It just, you don't know what you don't know. And I just can't believe that you wouldn't, if you don't know something, you don't know if it could be valuable or important. So it's like, hey. Anyways, this is going to be when they're inventorying and anything they're going to be taking. And then here, who tracked this in? You know, I went through the reports with kid. Who tracked in the leaf? This is important. Did this come from? I highly. Did this come from the porch? The balcony? There's no way, in my opinion, that this get trampled all the way up from somebody walking in from the front door. Okay. And that this is where it fell off. But you know what? You got to note it and you got to say like where it came from. But that's a foreign object in a very, very clean room. Okay. And call me crazy, but I think that if Kaylee and them would have went out on the deck on the top level, even just, I don't know, open it up, who knows, whatever. If somebody would have tracked this in, she would have seen this and picked this up and threw that away. And it's just like, where did that come from? That's a leaf. Ridiculous. Let's go back and look at the beginning photos, but then you don't know if those are the beginning photos because shit, you know, you have no idea the order. All I know is that they were so concerned about this speaker, but guess what speaker they weren't concerned with? The big speaker that's in Bethany's room. Bethany's room. She's actually the one that owns that big ass speaker that they went over there to the house because I've been waiting to try to figure out where that's been. It was in Bethany's room. She had the big bumping one in the August body worn cameras. That was hers. That was Bethany's. Right there. Dude, I'm sorry, but Dylan making the comment that she did and us seeing how the curtain is messed up like this, and this looks like it could potentially have been one of the first photos on how the room was and where the actual jacket was. Look at that. Do you guys think that Kaylee is a morning when you wake up that you're going to make your bed type of person? Abso-freaking-lutely. Right? You're going to sit here and tell me that this girl doesn't get up and make her bed. If it ain't the first thing that she does, she's doing it before like she would like leave the house to like go do whatever. Isn't she that kind of person? Right? So I personally believe that this bed would have been made, right? That means when you get home and for the bed to be like this, that means, in my opinion, if this is how it was, that somebody had gotten in that bed. Because I've always said, well, was it that Kaylee, did she hear something that woke her up and that she then got out of her room to go over? And is that why she's saying that there's somebody here? Did she run down to say, oh my God, there's somebody here? And then she run back up to like go help her friend. Okay. Only reason being is that it looks like she went to bed in this room. Because I would think that Kaylee would have made her bed. I see how her whole room is, and she's very tidy. Like, Kaylee's going places. Kaylee had a plan, man. Kaylee graduated early. She wanted to go experience the world and just like, she wasn't running from anything. She just wanted to go take on life, you know? Had her shit together. This is so sad. But I don't see how Kaylee's bed wouldn't have been made. And it almost looks like she heard something and then was like, what is that? Got out of her bed. And like, I'm a type of person that if I leave my room, my desk, wherever, I'm plugging my phone, and my phone's coming with me on the, like, it goes everywhere with me. And so, yeah, her going into Maddie's room would have still been like taking the phone, coming out, closing, the door, Murphy's then staying behind. And yeah. And so, oh my God, there's somebody here. She runs downstairs, and then she went back upstairs to go. That's the only way to me that makes sense. If you're going to say that Dylan heard Kaylee and why Kaylee would be going downstairs back to upstairs. And then it also would make sense that the anger that would be presented towards Kaylee is that you interrupted the killer if they were fixated on Maddie and that's who they went there for. But then you interrupted that, and they then took all of their. They were then angry with Kaylee. And that nobody else went and helped, or were these people even there? So sad. So sad. That could be potentially dirty paw prints, or I mean, I can't believe that they didn't zoom in on that and where any photos are of this area right here. I don't know what that is. I thought about, it could also be like makeup. Mm, I think it's crazy that that wouldn't be zoomed in on and handled. It probably is, but we just don't have it. That leaf still bothers me. Okay, so they go through. I was also looking for, again, just the clothes, the jeans, towels. I mean, just everything was. Oh, see flip flops. Oh, toad flip flops. I don't know that she was wearing those night. Okay. Okay, jailer speaker. Okay, so this is where they went and took everybody's, here you go. Their fire sticks out of the TVs. That's Kaylee's. You see how many repeats these are? A lot of repeats. Okay, then see here. See right there? There's that leaf. There's that leaf. Like, come on. I just, where did that come from? I'm going to write in about that. I want to see the first picture that the leaf shows up in. Because when you zoom here, you can kind of see like the black sleeve there. And so remember, that's where Murphy was supposedly on the bed, but that the next time when they went in, Murphy was underneath the desk by where the chair is, when the chair was like that though. Okay. So that leaf is interesting. Got it. Come on, man. That room is spotless. That room is absolutely spotless. And then there's this leaf. And Dylan's over here like, I have no idea how the killer... Dylan believed that the killer got in through going, came through Kaylee's slider. If you actually listen to her interview that she does with Blaker. All right. All right, so this takes us about to the 2-hour mark that I wanted to stop at for part. And then now we're going to be getting into, again, there's going to be an unlisted link for the next part here. And everybody, it doesn't mean that you can only be a member or anything like that. It's just a safe wall that you have to use to be able to come in and view the live, so that it just doesn't is scrolling across YouTube for any friends, family. This is my way of putting up a safe wall for the stuff that we're viewing with an extra trigger warning. Also, with Scott Roeder agreeing to come on and do this, this is a part that he would be best suited for as well. Because the big thing is that in Xana's room, is there evidence of two people at the same time being basically attacked, and is there evidence there that means that there was two perpetrators? So I think that's best to be talked about by an expert, so that we can ask some of those much needed questions. And it's all, again, I'm not going to do something, so I can have so many people watching. This is not what that's about. To me, this is about, we've been following this case since day one. There's been a lot of questions surrounding, when the defense is saying things, where is the defense coming up with this stuff? So if you want to be blabbing about something, at least since there was no trial to show all this stuff where experts would have been up there showing the different photos and showing why they believed X, Y, and Z. Okay. Backing up their reports, things of that nature. We're gonna cover it, but we can cover it with a level of integrity that's here, not here. Never do we have to do that. But this channel has been covering this case since day one and has 1000% questioned a lot of things, and rightfully so. We're allowed to question things, but we're also going to be holding ourselves to a standard. So I'm going to make the link will be in the community posts, and I'll make it so that this happens tomorrow. So you guys have plenty of time to go visit this link, and then it will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. So that gives you 24 hours. Okay. And I'll post the link, and it's going to be a live, just like regular, but you have to actually physically go get the link. And then when you click the link, it's then going to bring you right to where it normally is, that there's a live scheduled, and here it goes. It's just unlisted, meaning it's not going to filter through YouTube. Okay. That's all it means. That means that you have to go out of your way to find it. It's not going to just pop up on your algorithm. Okay. So that's how I'm choosing to cover it. We're still covering it. And it's still available to everybody that watches my channel. It's just, you have to go out of your way to get it. And that's a safeguard for having empathy and being compassionate to. I'm a parent. I have a ton of people that watch my channels that are parents. And if you can't get down with that, I don't give a shit. Then don't watch my shit. Okay. But we can have, educational conversations about a case and about why in the world would Ann Taylor be saying these things? Why in the world would experts ever be putting their careers on the line to put in reports and then supplement them and to be claiming X, Y, and Z? Okay. Why? Where do you see stuff? So that's how this is going to be handled. If you watch the past episodes that I've had with all the batch number 4s, we have not gone into any room that has where any victims are. And I want to have that stuff that we're going to cover with an extra layer of protection so that it's not easily to get across. Yeah. Does that also mean yeah, Lana, so that means you're making it so it's harder to view. And you can't be possibly putting your channel and making money in front of anything. Absolutely. See, now you're getting it, because that's not what it's about. Okay. It's about that I've covered this case. I'm going to continue to cover this case. But when I choose to do certain things and how I want it to not be saturated to the internet for anybody to just be able to click on, we can do that. And there's reasons for that. And period. Where do you go to get it? You just, you're on my channel, and you would go to where it has all the different tabs. It says videos, it says lives, it says posts. You click on posts, and then right there, it's going to say, hey, subscribers and members, here's the link for episode 3 of batch 4. Very, very simple. And I will say this, and I will not bring it up again, but I think it is 100% dangerous to be making any type of comments to any parents whose kids were murdered in the Idaho4. Period. Unbelievable. We don't do that here. Attacking parents, what the fuck is going on? Unbelievable. That's all I have to say. I'm not going to rant about it. Unbelievable. See you guys in the next one.